Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we are going to talk about a topic that I'm sure is going to get a lot of comments, a lot of people talking. I'm going to make sure that I'm very clear and precise in what I'm saying so that I'm not giving the wrong ideas or making people think that I'm saying something that I'm honestly not. So today we're going to talk about steroid use with an elevated body fat. But first and foremost, like I always do and need to remind you, I am not a doctor. I am only giving you information for your entertainment purposes only. So what you do with this information is completely up to you. It has nothing to do with me. I am not encouraging nor telling you to do anything other than just entertain. So, all right. First, I think we have to decipher what exactly is an elevated body fat and by what standard. Because some people's idea of an elevated body fat is definitely not the same as others. So when it comes to steroid use, what is that number, that magic number that you see thrown out there all the time? It's 15% body fat. And I have had more people write and tell me they have 15% body fat than I can even imagine. And then ultimately I get the pictures and realize that people either have read that's that magic number, or they're just highly confused with how things work. But that's an entirely different topic. So 15% body fat, generally you can start to at least see some of your abdominals, but then again, that doesn't automatically mean that either, because for whatever reason some people will hold a lot more, males tend to hold it in their obliques, that's flanks, etc. So that doesn't always mean that. I always tell people a good range is 12 to 13%. That is not the end-all be-all. That doesn't mean that you can't ever use that. I mean, first of all, you can use them whenever you want. People will say, can I do this, can I do that? You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. That is up to you. The question is, should you? And, if you are above 15% body fat, and once again, I say this loosely and with reservation, but generally speaking, if you're 15% body fat or below, that means that you're probably at least somewhat working on a consistent diet and training. There's probably still some flaws here or there, maybe not. Especially those guys that are a lot bigger, 15% body fat, you probably can't even tell that that's really a 15, and it probably looks more like a 12 to 10 on them. So there's different markers here that you got to be aware of. But I would say that you're above 15%, there's probably a lot of room for improvement on your diet and training. Some people say, well, I'm a lot comfortable up there. That's fine. Hey, I got no issue with that. I'm not saying that you're fat. I'm not saying that you're out of shape. We're talking about steroid shape, not overall in shape, okay? And everybody's got that area where they like to be. But let's just use that 15% marker, okay? What's the issue being over that? What's the problem? The first problem is that there's a lot more probability and possibility of side effects. Now, mind you, when I give you these numbers and these figures, there is always going to be people, always, that are an exception to that rule. There's going to be people that, for whatever reason, don't get the side effects. They come out smelling like a rose, whatever. But we're talking majority numbers here, so I don't need people to go, well, I did this and I did that. That's awesome. Happy for you. But that doesn't help. Because you might be the exception, but that doesn't apply to everybody else. So what I'm doing is taking what I see and taking the majority. When I say majority, you're looking at like 80 to 85%. That's a majority. 51% is not a majority when it comes to this. It might be in a vote, but it's really not. When I say majority, that means that most all, okay? Not just the slightly over under. So what happens here is, first of all, there's going to be a lot more estrogen conversion. And generally speaking, most people are going to use testosterone when they're using steroids. Probably should be. That's a debatable topic too. But testosterone converts to estrogen, right? And then we've got things like D-ball that convert to estrogen, DECA slightly, but not in crazy amounts. But there's going to be a higher rate of estrogen conversion to start with. And that's an issue. Why is that an issue, aside from the obvious gynecomastia worry? Well, that can increase your blood pressure, all right? It can make you sluggish. It can make you tired. It can give you erectile dysfunction. all of these problems with estrogen increases. Now, and this feeds onto what I'm also going to talk about. Generally, and once again, not always, but the higher your body fat is, the chances of you having more issues with your blood pressure, with your cholesterol, things like that, it's a lot higher. It's not a guarantee, no, because I know guys that are 17, 18, 19% that have shown me blood work that says otherwise. But in general, okay, the higher the body fat, the more likely you are to have those problems. And if you don't have those problems right now, and you do, which you will using steroids, having those issues at a higher body fat is much more problematic than having it at a lower body fat. I think most people can agree on that. The more strain you have on your heart, the more strain, and no strain on your heart is good, by the way. Okay, I don't care what kind of condition you're in. It's not. And anybody can argue that, and I'll fight you on that one all day long. Having strain on your heart is not a good thing. Like outside strain from drug use. Running and things like that, obviously, that's a good way to train your heart and keep it healthy in your cardiovascular system. But outside drug use and putting strain on your heart is not a good thing. Now, when you have a higher body fat, chances of problems are higher, right? And when you have an elevated body fat and there's more strain in your heart, more cholesterol issues, it's a major problem. It's not good to have elevated cholesterol or high blood pressure at any weight, but the higher the body fat jumps, the much more hard and strainful it is on you in general. And the likelihood of having those issues at a higher body fat is much higher. Now, then there's the results issue. First of all, if you aren't practicing a consistent diet and training and things of that nature, it's not smart to use steroids. Why? Well, the results aren't going to be there either, okay? They're just not. And then a lot of people are under that impression that they can just sit around, eat whatever they want, do nothing, start, injecting or taking, orals, whatever the case may be, and then voila, they're just going to end up in condition, etc. And then when they come off steroids, they're not going to do anything. You don't magically stay in shape. And steroids don't magically get you into shape. You have to work your behind off to get in condition with steroid use too. You're not just going to take them and just magically, you know what? I've seen some studies on people that were sedentary and did nothing, didn't change their diet, and got some results from steroids. But let's be realistic here. If you want real-time results, bodybuilding results, six-pack abs, you have to put in the work. That just doesn't happen just by taking steroids. Diet is like 60-70% of all of this, okay? Then the training, obviously, is another 20-25%. So where does that leave the compounds? 10%? The compounds put you over the top. They put you say you're at an elite level. That's how you get to a super elite level. Okay? That's what they're used for. That extra boost that you just can't get on your own. But people think that they are like the end-all, be-all magic wand, and you're just going to just turn into this monster or this animal. And that's just not how it works. And if you are at that elevated body fat to start with, the results are definitely not going to be there like they should be. And it brings into question what kind of work ethic you have. Like, what is even going on here? Like, there's just so much issue with doing this. People will say, can I do this? Can I do this? You can. You can. The decision's yours. And I'm sure that there are some people out there that have been overweight that have gotten results. I'm sure of it. And tell you they're fine. But let me tell you something right now. You might be fine in the moment, but you can't tell me what you're going to be like 15, 5, 10 years down the road and what kind of long-term damage you might have done. And a lot of people don't even get blood work. They just say they feel fine. And you don't know what's going on internally and what kind of problems could pop up. You just don't. There's so many things that are wrong here. And thinking short-term is not the way to do this. Thinking long-term is the way to go about it. I'm just looking out for people when I make the recommendations that I do, and people ask me and I say, you're really not in the proper condition. I'm not your dad. I'm only giving you my thought and my opinion when you ask me. And I'm assuming that you value it when you come to me to ask, or you wouldn't be asking me in the first place, because you don't just go up to random Joes on the street and say, hey, you think I'm okay to use steroids? I mean, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm trying to help you out and keep you, safe. I'm not trying to be a jerk if I tell you you're not in the proper condition, because I've had people, and I simply just say, you're not really in the right condition right now. Oh, you act like I'm fat and this and that. No. That's not what I'm saying. And I often encourage people and say, just because you're not ready now doesn't mean you can't be. Get yourself in the right condition, and I'm more than happy to give you better advice, on what to do. But the best advice that I could give is to just not do it. So, people get angry with me and they get mad at me because they don't hear what they want to hear. But look, one of the things about me is when you come to me, I am not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear, to actually care, to actually, help you. A lot of people will tell you what you want to hear, and you don't want to ask those people things. You don't want to get advice from those people. You don't want to go to those people. They're not helping you. They don't care. They have some kind of motive, or they just want to get you out of their ear. I will tell you what you need to hear. So that's what I'm doing here, and that's what I always do. That's who I am. And some people really respect that, and some people can't stand that. And that's one of the reasons why they may not like me. But that's the only way that I know how to do it, because I actually care about it. And me telling you otherwise isn't doing you any good at all. I'm not a justifier. I'm not a person that will just tell you whatever, because you want to hear it. It's just not how I operate. So know that when you listen to me and follow me, that I don't know how else to put it, but I try to keep it real at all times. So that's that. That being said, www.icearms.com/forums. I'm also on the Evolutionary Forum and the Elite Fitness Forum, so check me out there. Dylan@icearms.com. You can email me all your questions and comments, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.